and the others to stop as well, saying he was just joking around a bit as he felt a weird unfamiliarity since it's been so long since he's seen his little brother. Yisu puts hand away, remarking that the guy who never even joked once is now trying comedy before Shogo asks if he's got a light on him, saying he came here straight from the airport and doesn't have a cigarette. Yisu takes one out of the box and hands it to him. Asking if he picked up smoking while he was gone, Shogo answers that it's something like that and that he wouldn't have known now that he thinks about it. Yisu holds a lighter, saying he has to come closer to light it, hearing which Shogo takes a moment before admitting he never puts a cigarette anywhere near his mouth, and asks if this lighter was with Dogyeong, saying he's been looking for it before confirming that Yisu really doesn't know and that Dogyeong would never put this lighter in front of him, saying he knows him the most before moving back, commending Yisu for his performance and holding his hand out to President Lee, who goes forward to meet it, but Shogo grabs onto him, setting his hand down on the car and stabbing it with a dagger, saying this was a courteous enough apology. Shogo takes out a handkerchief from his pocket, saying they've all tried to fool and dishonor the Oyama Gumi, which is why a folly like that must be paid with this, wrapping the finger in it. Yisu angrily asks what he's doing and Shin says they should just kill him now since that'd be better as Chinho angrily roars out Oyama's name, but Lee stops them all, asking what they're doing and what this indecency is, saying their guest is leaving, which is why they should courteously guide them out before bowing to Shogo, while tightly holding his bloodied hand and hoping they return safely. Seeing this, Shogo pats his shoulder, saying he must have misjudged him, and that he is indeed the master of the small mountain before getting in the car, and saying he has a feeling they'll be seeing each other very soon, saying the same to the fake Baek Dogyeong before driving away. In the car, he calls his assistant Gunji and asks if his end got taken care of, who answers that they're taking a look at the events that transpired in Korea in recent days, and that things were more entertaining than they'd thought, explaining that there are two things. One, Baek Dogyeong had a twin who recently died and had a funeral hosted for him. Hearing this, Shogo says it all makes sense now and tells him that that twin was pretending to be the real Baek Dogyeong here, who's probably dead now, before Gunji says the second thing is that the assembly controlling Korea's biggest underground powers has dissolved, putting it into a state of chaos where every gang is vying for power and is at an all-out war, much like those old kingdom tales, and that Taizan has surprisingly expanded their territory in the last few months and have joined in as Ilhak's affiliate, but all that just seems to be on the surface. Shogo says he's confirmed it himself, but they seemed more useful to him, so Gunji says Seoul in the current moment is a pandemonium of broken balance due to certain outside pressure. On top of that, Taizan's Ilhak has increased their territorial growth by their merger with Chungwon, and there's a third-party organization against them that has leaked information to them. Hearing this, Shogo remarks that he really is amazing, and that his father's Oyama's strategy and information section really is different. Gunji thanks him and says he'll get back to him after confirming a few things. He cuts the call and starts interrogating someone from Jiarang. Meanwhile, at Chungwon, Chang-hun goes to Wang with his men, saying they should attack the now weakened Taizan, but Wang explains that he has no patience and doesn't understand things, saying the Oyama personally came to Korea and had some friction with Taizan, which means that they're about to directly involve themselves with the streets of Seoul. Back at Ilhak, the secretary says Oyama sent them something and starts reading from a file which says the atrocity of betraying them that Taizan has made until now has been fixed with the previous apology. However, Taizan must be led by its master, which is why each of its decisions from now will be made by Oyama Shogo, and what they send along with this is a reminder of their mistakes till now. The secretary hesitantly opens the box and almost throws up, seeing which Chinho instantly becomes alarmed and looks inside to see Lee's bandaged finger. As Yisu is sitting beside the unconscious Baek Dogyeong, he wonders what he did wrong by putting the lighter in front of Shogo, and says he was really confident in becoming him since they're twins and should have protected his Taizan, but maybe this is his limit as well. He apologizes to Baek Dogyeong, putting the lighter in his hand, saying he really can't become him after all, so he'll do it his way now. He gears up, putting on his clothes, and meets Shin, who asks him if it would be fine, addressing him as Captain. So Yisu answers that it's rather refreshing to get caught, so they're changing the plan from this point on. Shin puts on his hood and mask, asking how far they're going to go, to which he answers that there isn't anything to hesitate about since their identities have been exposed, so they'll kill everything in their way, saying their first goal is Oyama, but telling him to leave Shogo alone since he'll take him down himself. Taisen, an organization with a name that means the Grand Mountain, but even if it's a grand mountain, they're the Oyama, so even if it's as tall as it says it is in front of the tallest mountain, even a grand one seems infinitely smaller, so bow your heads and revere the heights you can never reach. As Shogo is sitting in front of Lee, he asks if his hand is all right, to which Lee rigidly answers it is. So Shogo says the act of severing one's finger contains the right to apologize, and he's already received enough apologies, so between themselves, he shouldn't sit so stiffly. So Lee answers that he'll talk as well in that case, and says Taisen is an affiliate organization of Ilhak, and so even if it's the Oyama, joining Taisen's management is, and trails off. So Shogo answers that he'll perfectly fit into the chairman's chair, hearing which Lee asks how he can make him such an offer. So Shogo says he's heard enough of Seoul's present state, which is no worse than the Sengoku era, where everyone was busy tearing each other apart. He says he has no interest in this Seoul and just wants to leave the fame of the Oyama Gumi, so he'll have the fame and give Lee this Seoul, and that the Oyama will turn him into the man under the heavens of this battlefield. Lee takes a sip of his tea, saying that's a high word, but it won't be as easy as he thinks since Seoul's underworld is very different. Hearing this, Shogo laughs, saying he understands what he means and that it might not look as easy from his level. But they're the Oyama, so they can't compare their measuring stick to them. He asks if Lee knows of a Japanese monster called an Oni, a monster that is known to eat people and is the monster of the Oyama. Sometimes there are organizations that get too brash with the Oyama. That day, there was an ambush regarding their enforcer. On that day, the location was truly vicious because the 9 members of the opposing organization that had planned to ambush were all lying on the floor in pieces, but what's funny is that some of their fingers were cut off. As Hyungu, the man from Jeorang, angrily sits on the floor, he says he's seen all kinds of messed up guys in Taisen and Jeorang, but that man isn't even human anymore, as the guy in front of him gulps down a chopped-off finger, seeing which he revoltingly wonders if it's from one of the dead corpses, some of whose fingers are missing. Lee Hyungu crawls away from him, asking him to please let him live, but the man just grins and raises his axe before the door opens and Yisu enters, asking if he's inside. The man addresses him as Ryugasaki in surprise, asking what the get-up is for before remembering and confirming that's his real identity, saying he doesn't want to do anything with the fake. As his lackeys approach him, one of them says he'd only heard rumors, but it's really true, and remarks that he looks exactly like Ryugasaki. He takes out his dagger, saying he's always wanted to stab the face of their old Kashira, and rushing towards him, but Yisu turns his oncoming hand and stabs the guy's dagger into himself, shocking the others who rush at him, shouting if he dares to oppose the Oyama, but Yisu stabs his forehead with his dagger before effortlessly killing another one. The main guy rushes at him with his axe, but Yisu dodges and takes out the dagger out from one of the lackeys' bodies as the two start brawling, and the man remarks that he's pretty good and can do as much as Ryugasaki. Yisu recognizes him as Onizawa Nobuhiro and says he saw him in the files and that he's the type to push through with power before being cornered, but he takes quick swipes and slashes away at his torso before landing a blow at his chin and ending it by stabbing him again, after which he falls down in pain. Yisu remarks that he only uses his raw strength and that his accuracy is too low before telling him to come again, angrily groaning that he's playing cheap tricks and to keep doing this, but Yisu punches him in the face again, after which the man angrily exclaims that he just needs to land one solid hit, but Yisu effortlessly dodges his attacks and lands a strong blow at his stomach, making him spill blood before the man tries another punch and apparently succeeds, happily exclaiming, but Yisu blocks it with his fist and asks if that's all he's got before twisting his wrist and kicking him away as the man falls to the floor and asks what the hell he is. Yisu steps forward and sits on him, saying he can't do that and telling him to wake up before driving a dagger into